Captain Marvel is here and the MCU will never be the same again. If you've been keeping up to date with the film, then you'll know that there's a wealth of controversy surrounding it that seems to be overshadowing the movie itself. Whilst it's hard to avoid this, let's cast it out of our minds for a minute and focus on the film's plot, its ending, and what it teases for the future. Throughout this video, I'll be breaking down everything that you need to know about Captain Marvel, including its final few scenes and the ones that appear after the credits. It's full spoilers ahead on this, so if you don't want to know anything about the movie, then I highly suggest that you turn off now. But with that out the way, I'm Definition and welcome to the channel where I explain it so you don't have to. Okay, so perhaps the biggest plot twist in Captain Marvel is that the Skrulls are actually the good guys. If you've been following the comics, then you'll know that this is a pretty big change-up and is arguably one of the biggest twists since we found out that S.H.I.E.L.D. were in fact Hydra. The Kree-Skrull War ravages the galaxy and is the backdrop to this origin story that centers around our heroine, Carol Danvers. The Kree-Skrull War is happening because the Kree are determined to rule over the galaxy, and when the Skrulls start an uprising, the majority of them were massacred whilst the rest were turned into refugees looking for a new home. The Kree themselves are ruled by an AI known as the Supreme Intelligence. This program takes the form of the person that you respect the most, and the race worship it like a god. However, its goal is to subjugate every other species and planet in the galaxy. Whilst we never discover who created it or where they are now, we can in fact look to the comics for answers on this. The Supreme Intelligence is actually made from the brain of one of the smartest Krees that ever lived. Eventually it evolves and develops its own consciousness that helps it to replace the Kree government as a ruler. So, how does the Supreme Intelligence play into the plot of Captain Marvel? Well, Captain Marvel opens with Carol already as a citizen of Hala and one of the Kree's best soldiers. While she has flashbacks to her past, it's clear she's having certain things hidden from her. Yon-Rogg, her mentor, trains her as tough as he can, stipulating that she can't use powers, and he ensures this with a device that slows her powers down. After this training scene, Carol visits the Supreme Intelligence, who appears as Annette Bening, though Carol has no idea why. It's here that the plot is really kick-started, and Carol is sent on a mission to rescue a Kree undercover from a planet. With the help of her team, Carol sneaks in but discovers that the undercover is actually Talos, a Skrull warrior who incapacitates and captures her. From here, Captain Marvel manages to escape and destroy the ship on which she's held, which is when we see her crash land on Earth in a Blockbusters. For those who were born after 2005, Blockbusters is a bit like Netflix but an actual location. God, I miss those days. Anyway, Talos has learned from Captain Marvel's memories about certain things on the planet, including Pegasus, which is a logo on her jacket. After the Skrulls start to infiltrate society, Captain Marvel contacts Yon-Rogg. She learns that she has 22 hours before they show up, and she begins working with Fury and Coulson, who show up to investigate what's going on. From here, the train scene happens when a Skrull shows up and attacks her, and Fury discovers that at some point at Blockbusters, the Skrulls swapped out the real Coulson with one of their soldiers. Fury manages to kill this Skrull, but the one that Captain Marvel was chasing manages to get away. From the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. division, played by Ben Mendelsohn, Fury is told to track down Captain Marvel, who finds her in a bar that she remembers. Since Skrulls can't absorb memories beyond 24 hours, the two learn to trust each other before heading to Pegasus to see why the Skrulls are interested in it. Here they learn that Annette Bening's character, Dr. Wendy Lawson, has been dead since 1989. They sneak off to the archives, which is when they're followed by Goose the Cat. Fury calls S.H.I.E.L.D. who show up, however Fury thinks something isn't quite right with the S.H.I.E.L.D. leader and tricks him into revealing he's a Skrull, which is when the two escape. From here, the movie becomes about Carol's rediscovery and the reveal that she was a pilot that apparently died during a test flight of Lawson's new aircraft. With the help of her friend Maria, she begins to unearth her past. Talos arrives and explains the backstory, and it turns out that Lawson was actually a Kree named Mar-Vell who was developing technology to help the Skrulls escape oppression. This Tesseract-powered ship was shot down by Yon-Rogg, who killed Mar-Vell and captured Carol to use her as a weapon after she absorbed the ship's power source in the ambush. Naturally, Carol is Nick furious about the whole situation, and she changes her suit colours to reflect her new mind state. The new team discover Mar-Vell's ship is still in space and journey there whilst Yon-Rogg arrives on Earth. In space, they discover the Tesseract and that Skrull refugees have been living on the base since Mar-Vell died. Carol takes the Tesseract, which Goose, who is revealed to be a Flurkin at one point, eats. Yon-Rogg shows up and they capture the Skrulls whilst Carol dukes it out with Supreme Intelligence. Carol realises that the Kree are actually very scared of her her as they can't control her, and she's finally able to get free and fight Starforce. Maria and Fury escape to Earth with Goose and the Skrulls, but they are chased by Kree. I don't want to spoil too much, but Fury loses his eye and the battle continues on Earth. Yon-Rogg lands on Earth just as Ronan shows up with a bombing fleet, but Carol is able to make quick work of them and sends Ronan running. Finally, Carol finds Yon-Rogg, who says that she is nothing and can't beat him without her powers. But in an Indiana Jones-esque Easter egg, Carol just blasts him, sending him back home to the Kree with the warning that she's coming. Carol gives Fury back his pager, which he's upgraded to be able to send signals across the galaxy, and with the Skrulls she journeys into space, promising to find them a new home. We then see Fury in his office with Goose wearing an eye patch, which is when Coulson comes in and hands him a box of fake eyes, which he closes and states that the planet is going to need more people like her to protect Earth. The Protector Initiative is on his screen, but when he looks at a photo and it says Carol Avenger Danvers on the side of her F-16, he smiles and changes the title to the Avengers Initiative. Obviously, there's still a lot of big questions that loom over this though. So, where did Carol and the Skrulls go? Unfortunately, we don't know, and there's not really an indicator in the comics to guess where this could be. However, it's a safe assumption to make that they will be far away from the Kree. Secondly, did Carol end the war? Well, if we use Ronan as a barometer, I think it's pretty safe to say that she did. In Guardians of the Galaxy, which is set long after Captain Marvel, Ronan is an outcast rather than the supreme accuser. Sure, he still wants to rule the galaxy, but the fact that he's no longer in a position to do this immediately clearly indicates that the Kree Empire has fallen. To me, this signifies that Carol did in fact stop the war, however this may be played out in a sequel for the film if it ever happens. And now onto the post-credit scenes. Captain Marvel has 2 post-credit scenes, and if you've already seen the leaks then chances are that you know what they are. I think down the line these will kind of be looked upon badly, as once future movies have been released, these won't really add much. The first credit scene involves Captain Marvel showing up at Avengers HQ after the events of Infinity War to encounter the rest of the survivors of the snap. Captain Marvel and co have managed to get Nick Fury's pager, but they are unsure of exactly what the signal on it means before it cuts out. Captain Marvel then steps forward saying that she's here to answer the call and asks where Nick Fury is. Carol and Black Widow share the screen, and it's clear that the MCU is heading towards a more female focused journey with these two at the helm. The scene is ripped straight from Avengers Endgame, hence why I think down the line it won't be viewed so favourably, as once that movie's out, this won't really add anything. The second post-credit scene involves Goose the Cat in Fury's office coughing up the Tesseract. This scene ends the film on a lighter note that neatly ties some of the movie's events into the greater universe. So, that's everything you need to know about Captain Marvel and what happens in its ending. If you've seen the movie, make sure you leave your comments below, and if you enjoyed this video then please like it and make sure you check out my full breakdown of the Game of Thrones trailer, which will be linked at the end. This is a channel for people who are super into superheroes, so if that's the kind of thing you like, hit subscribe. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this. I've been Definition, you've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.